All right, I'll start the stream and here they come.
I see a couple of them connecting to audio, so I was just waiting. All right, looks like we're good, Adam.
Yeah, all set.
Okay. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting of the Town of East Greenbush Zoning Board of Appeals, meeting of Tuesday, April 27th, 2021 to order. I'll start with an introduction of our board members as I see them on my Zoom screen anyway. Tom Hickey.
Evening.
Bob Seward.
Good evening.
Scott Stravell.
Hi, everyone.
And Matt Ostagai. And we also have our zoning board attorney, Bill Hesney.
Evening.
Our zoning board secretary, Allison Lovely. Court stenographer, Kateri Radigan. And we also have present our director of planning and zoning, Adam Yagelski. So to review why we're here tonight, an applicant for variance is being afforded a public hearing to appeal the decision of the code enforcement officer. The legal criteria used by the board in determining the disposition of the appeal is defined by state law, is documented in the comprehensive zoning law, and was provided to the applicant at the time of their application. Based on this guidance, the applicant is expected to present his or her case to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then the public will be afforded an opportunity to comment on the application. We request all comments and questions be addressed to the board and not directly to the applicant. The board will then review the materials submitted as well as the testimony presented at this hearing by both the applicant and the public, and will either determine the disposition of the appeal by a majority vote tonight or table the public hearing to a future date. As per town code, any member of the public wishing to speak today shall not be required to disclose his or her name, address, or other contact related information. We will start with the appeal number 2021-03, the appeal of John Nittinger of 1266 Best Road, East Greenbush, New York, 12061. The applicant proposes to construct a ground surface solar array covering 8.25 acres. The review of the proposed work will not comply with the following provisions of the town zoning law, local law number 1 of 2017, and amended by local law number 3 of 2017, limits ground mounted solar systems to 2.5 acres maximum. Therefore, the proposed action requires an area variance for the property located at 1266 Best Road, East Greenbush, New York, tax map number 156-3-9. Pursuant to executive order number 202.1 issued by Governor Cuomo on March 12, 2020, and advisories issued by federal, state, and local officials related to the COVID-19 virus, the zoning board will convene the public hearing remotely as follows. The public hearing will commence at 7:30 p.m. and shall be conducted through the use of Zoom, web-based video conferencing tool with local desktop client and smartphone applications that will allow board members and the public to participate electronically and remotely by audio and with or without a video connection. The meeting will also be live streamed on the town's YouTube channel. We have several members of the public present tonight, and unfortunately for this one, this appeal, the applicant called and had to make a late cancellation, but we decided we would start the public hearing at least, invite any members of the public that wish to speak tonight. They are welcome to do so momentarily. We'll call on people one by one that wish to comment, and we will then table the public hearing to our May, I believe it's 27th meeting. No, 25th, correct, Allison?
Yes, 25th.
25th, excuse me, May 25th meeting, we will reconvene and pick up where we left off. So what I will do is just go through the record that we have at hand right away. We have within the packet provided to members of the zoning board and provided online, the denial from the code enforcement officer regarding the need for the area variance. We also have a March 18th packet from Matrix Development outlining with their fee letter, their application for the area variance, a project narrative, part 1 of the short environmental assessment form for seeker, the proposed site plan, property owner authorization letter, as well as the fee that was necessary. For the record, we have a detailed report from our planning board member, Chris Horn, dated April 14th, 2021. That detailed report was used by the planning board, and on April 22nd, a recommendation was made that the planning board votes to accept Chris Horn's report and makes a negative recommendation on this proposal to the zoning board as it relates to planning, and forwards a report to the zoning board. That motion carried by a 6-0 vote. We also have a response from Rensselaer County, and after having carefully reviewed the information submitted as part of the subject referral, the Bureau of Economic Development and Planning has determined that the proposal does not have a major impact on county plans and that local consideration shall prevail. Subsequent to the packages being provided to the zoning board members, we have a letter dated Tuesday, April 27, 2021. Kateri will enter that into the record as Exhibit 2021-03A, and we'll provide that for the official record. We also have an email from David Turpinning dated Tuesday, April 27th that will enter the record as Exhibit 2021-03B, and we'll enter that into the record. With that, I will ask any members of the zoning board have any questions offhand before I ask the members of the public that attended tonight. All right. Seeing none, I'll go around. Adam, do you want to ask, or do you have anything in the chat box to start with?
Nothing in the chat box, but I'm happy to go down the list of, it looks like we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 members of the public. Okay.
So I do wish to offer an apology for the late schedule mix-up. Like I said, the applicant's representative came down with a cold and thought they might be able to pull off the meeting tonight, especially because it was remote, but apparently was not able to. So we will table it, but I do want to wish or provide everybody that did attend tonight a chance to speak tonight, or the opportunity to also speak on May 25th. So if you want to go down, Adam, that's great.
So is it Angela Schweigert? We'll unmute you if you want to speak. Or Angel, excuse me, Angel, sorry.
I think that was the Cray matter, if I remember.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
Thank you, Scott.
okay. All right. So the next person is David Turpinning.
I think you got my email today, and I think it's pretty much what my comments are for tonight. One of the things just to highlight what I said in the email is that the first bullet was the fact that this doesn't really fit into that type of area. And if future residential developments would be put in that place, or even the current residential developments, that would fit with that particular area. The other part is that I'm assuming, given the track record in people that develop in the town of East Greenbush, that they'll be applying for some sort of tax incentives, either be through tax reductions or rebates, or possibly a pilot project. And I think that will take another hit on our revenue for our budget, town budget, plus the school district budget as well. The other thing is like you said, that Chris Horn had a negative recommendation for this project. That kind of tells it all. Tom Patton, as I recall from that meeting, that he said he's not quite sure if there's enough solar generating days in this particular county, let alone state, for that area. What I said in my email is that solar farms don't have an indefinite life. You know, they deteriorate over time. Panels have to be replaced. You know, things that the old panels might wind up into landfills, so forth and so on, causing other environmental issues. The other thing is I saw a movie documentary, and I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not an avid environmentalist, but that particular movie, that documentary, struck me pretty amazing. That all this stuff going with with solar and wind, so forth and so on, it's not all what's cracked up to be. It causes more environmental damage than it does save environments. So given that's these statements, the fact that I really don't think it fits in our community, is that if whatever decision you make, you have to live with that decision. And I don't live anywhere near the area, but I'm a resident of the town of East Greenbush. And more, all the wooded area in East Greenbush is being taken up by major developments, you know, businesses like Regeneron and other places that we're not really East Greenbush anymore. We're just something east. So you might, if this all goes down and gets approved, at some point in time, we're going to rename our town to something else. This all goes through. So all that said, I'll yield back to the board. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, so next person is Katie Bondi.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dan, actually. Katie is my wife.
Yeah.
I guess I don't necessarily have a big objection to the project. My concern is why he needs a quadruple sized plot of solar panels and where exactly he plans on locating it. I'm pretty close to him, and I just don't want to look out my windows and see a giant solar field. That's my big concern.
Okay. Adam, if you want to keep going, I'll come back, and I believe I can put my hands on the site plan electronically that we can share.
Okay. Next person is Kay Krebn. Where are you? There we are. KK Rebin. If you're, yep, there you go.
Thanks so much. I'm not completely familiar with the project that has been proposed, but I did have a few questions about it. If 2.5 acres maximum is allowed for residential use in East Greenbush, are they proposing the 8.25 acres of ground surface solar for commercial use? And I'm not sure if you can reply to those questions now.
I can. It's they are requesting this to be a community solar project. I'll leave the official response up to the applicant at the May 25th meeting to have a proposal prepared, a presentation, I'm sure, but it is intended to be a commercial solar field that multiple residents can sign up to utilize credits from that solar field from. So it is a commercial application, and our current zoning law does limit the commercial applications to 2.5 acres without a variance. So that is, yeah, that's why he's here now. So just to clarify also, the only matter before the zoning board tonight or underneath this appeal is whether or not to allow a larger solar field should the site plan and planning board approvals be met. The planning board won't even entertain the application until they understand whether or not the zoning board would approve the area variance. So any site plan restrictions, stuff like that would go through the planning board subsequent to an approval if they were able to secure it from the zoning board.
Thank you. Obviously, there's a lot to learn about this.
Yeah.
The next item I had a question about was that the 8.25 acres that are proposed for the location of the project, it looks like it is fully wooded at this point. And so my understanding would be that that would be clear cut 8.25 acres for the solar array, which just in reading the East Greenbush Comprehensive Plan, it looks like that is designated as an important interior forest habitat. So, you know, the East Greenbush Comprehensive Plan obviously did a great deal of research in terms of protecting East Greenbush as a great environment to live in. So my concern would be if that were a good thing to do. And finally, I can't tell from the proposed map if the proposed solar array will be visible from Best Road. Obviously, it's a very scenic corridor, and my concern would be that that use would not be appropriate for that sort of an area. And then just finally, if the project actually fits in with the East Greenbush Comprehensive Plan. You know, it's hard to tell if it will disrupt it. Obviously, there's neighbors all around. So thank you for the time. Those were my concerns.
Okay, so next person is Ricky Craw. Do you have anything you want to say on this? Oh, sorry.
No, I don't even know much about it.
Okay. Moving on is, and I'm going to butcher this, I'm sorry. It's Uni Wazaleski. Let me find you, Uni. Asked to unmute.
Hi. Yeah, I don't have any concerns with any of that. I don't know where any of the oh, it's off of Best Road. Yeah, I don't have any opinions one way or the other about that issue in itself. I yield the rest of whatever time I have left.
Okay. Now we have a couple of phone numbers. 518 area code ending in 344.
Yes, this is Bill McCarthy. My question pertains the same as one of the earlier people had voiced, and I just was curious about the site plan itself. I see there was a map up there. Just was curious how it situates itself with regard to Best Road, how far it is off the road, and again going back to this idea of being cleared versus uncleared land.
There were a couple questions. I believe you guys, everybody can see the site plan on their screen now. So on the bottom of this map, following the cursor, the bottom left corner is Best Road itself. Within the application package, there is a cleared National Grid utility easement that goes up alongside this property line, and the solar field is tucked in the back corner of that large parcel. So they're showing, I believe, this blue boxed area to be the 8.25 acres of the overall parcel. I do have questions for that because I thought the parcel was much larger than what this is representing. This appears to take up almost a quarter of the overall lot, but I thought it was a larger parcel than that. So we'll have some questions for the applicants ourselves, but yes, it does also appear to be fully wooded, the area that it would be placed in, but it is also as pretty much as far back off of Best Road as possible. So I hope that helps. And obviously the applicant on May 25th will review it again.
And Jeff, I thought I read somewhere that if you were coming right to left on your screen, you might be able to see looking up the right of way. And again, we would have to ask when we get in front of them for about a 1 to 2 second interval at 40 miles an hour. Whoever put that, the solar company, said you might be able to see a corner of the array, and coming the other way from left to right, you would have to crane your neck over your left shoulder to even be able to see it. I think that's some of the, you probably have it right here.
Yeah, within the application package, can you see that photo, Scott?
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
Okay. This is where up in this back corner of the parcel is where it is being proposed. I believe the property line runs through the power lines or may straddle it, but it's all the cleared area would be to the left of that national grid right away. But again, we'll let the applicant review that May 25th.
So the last person is area code 518 and last 3 digits 841. If you'd like to speak, please unmute yourself. So they may not have anything to say on this or not be able to unmute.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Adam. With that, unfortunately, like I said, we don't have the applicant here tonight to present their case. So I think it's best to table this public hearing till our May 25th meeting. Bill, I apologize once again, but do we want to make a motion for that, or can we just table this?
Just table it on the record.
Okay, so we will reconvene this public hearing on May 25th. We will start with the presentation by the applicant, entertain questions from the board, as well as responses from the applicant, and then open it back up to the public for any additional comments. We'll share the comments tonight with the applicant, so hopefully they can be prepared at that May 25th meeting.
Jeff,
So
if I may, Jeff, we have a few items in the chat from Mr. Turpening. I don't know if you can see those. Would you like me to read them or?
Yeah, if you could for right now. Let me stop that sharing and I can probably get my view back.
So David said initially, we don't see the site plan. I'm not sure if that applies. And then the second comment was allowing the increased acreage is a slippery slope, ellipses. How much more will the applicant want to increase the size of the array? Question mark. And then the third comment is I can't unmute my audio to make additional comments.
I'm okay, Adam, before we table this, if you want to unmute David to see if he has any more comments tonight, that's fine.
From personal experience, there's a lot of effects when the zoning board approves variances. I won't get into any details, but it's not pleasant for neighbors that live around those entities that have gotten a special use permit. So that, like I said, I don't live near the area where this is going in, but I think the neighbors around there might, if they're not on here tonight, that once this thing gets constructed, they may have second thoughts. And if there's a lot more acreage involved with that area where they can be expanded, that array, there could be, how big is the acreage on that, in that plot?
Need to confirm that next time, David. I don't want to state it and be incorrect tonight, but that is a question for next time, definitely.
Right. But if it's another, say 100 acres, whatever, that means they can expand that. If they've got the special use permit now, they can expand that to the maximum amount on that property. And then the neighbors in that area are going to say, what happened? So again, special use permits have consequences.
Yeah, again, tonight, this appeal itself is only for a variance up to 8.25 acres. So any expansion beyond that would require another variance.
It's the precedent.
Comment noted. Okay, with that, we will table this public hearing until May 25th, at such time the applicant can be present. So anybody wishing to stay on board for our next appeal is welcome to stay, or if you wish to sign off, feel free. Thank you all for attending and for your comments tonight. All right. We will now open appeal number 2021-04, the appeal of Ricky and Marianne Craw, 45 Acorn Avenue, Rensselaer, New York, 12144. The applicant proposes to construct a 30-foot by 40-foot garage with access on 2 frontages. The Town of East Greenbush Planning Board hereby finds that the plat as proposed would violate section 2.5.d.3.b of the town's comprehensive zoning law, and hereby refers this project to the Zoning Board of Appeals in accordance with town law section 277 subsection 6. Therefore, the proposed action requires an area variance for the property located at 45 Acorn Avenue, East Greenbush, New York. Tax map number 154.68-9-1. This will again be pursuant to the same executive order number 202.1 as previously read tonight. So with that, we will just jump in. We do have the area variance application from Ricky Craw, which was provided to the members. Part 1 of the seeker environmental form, a small site plan. We have a planning board report, detailed report by member Ralph Viola dated April 13th, 2021. We then have the subsequent planning board recommendation of April 22nd, 2021, in which a motion was made by Chairman Maston as follows. The planning board votes to accept Ralph Viola's report with the conditions included in the report and forwards the report to the zoning board as it relates to planning aspects of the town of East Greenbush. See attached report for further details. We do have from Rensselaer County their notification of zoning review action. After having carefully reviewed the information submitted as part of the subject referral, the Bureau of Economic Development and Planning has determined that the proposal does not have a major impact on county plans and that local consideration shall prevail. We received multiple correspondence on this application, starting with an email of April 20, 2021, that we can enter in as exhibits 2021-04A regarding the need for the garage size and questioning whether or not businesses as well as neighborhood concerns. We also have an April 22nd, 2021 letter. We'll enter in as exhibit 2021-04B. That is a handwritten letter, it looks like from Leland Frisbee of 10 Prospect Heights Avenue, recommending approval tonight. We also have an email dated Monday, April 26, 2021 from Angel Swigart with some questions and appears to be the property owner immediately next door. That will become exhibit 2021-04C. So with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. and Mrs. Craw to present the proposal we're entertaining tonight and any background you can provide to why this should be approved.
Okay, well, the thing is that the garage, just retired, so it's something for me to be tinkering in,
It's
you know. And,
personal, not commercial, not at all to ever be used for any commercial use ever.
you know, and I mean, then going out the other way, it's either that or I gotta put a driveway through my front lawn and everything, and I don't think that's gonna be too appealing when I'm up against, you know, I'm back to a road as it is. I can just come out and I'm there. And I mean, you know, it's gonna be built, you know, to where it's gonna, you know, almost look like a house instead of looking like a garage. Because, you know,
It'll match our existing house as far as the siding. It'll be sided the same exact. And it'll be designed to look very residential. It's not going to be a pole barn or anything commercial looking.
and I mean, the size, the only, you know, is that because I'm not gonna be storing nothing outside. Anything I work on is gonna be inside the garage. You know, because I mean, you know, I care about the neighborhood as much as everybody else. And I mean, you know, I think I take good care of my area. You know, to try to keep everything upright, you know, so it looks decent and everything.
What I threw on here, Mr. and Mrs. Craw, is the proposed plat plan. Can you just provide some background as to why you need the secondary access out the back? Are you looking to combine these two parcels? Is this a parcel you just purchased in the back of the property?
Yeah, because I can't build a standalone garage. So the only other access, other than coming out onto the road that the property's on, is to go through my whole yard with a driveway.
And where our house is situated, it's not really feasible to do that. The house is blocking most of the pathway to Acorn Avenue.
You have a retaining wall, looks like on the west side, and then a tight
Yeah.
setback on the east side.
Yeah,
How long have you owned that back parcel? Was that recently purchased?
yeah, probably
A year.
year ago or so.
Okay. And that parcel has access on what would be a paper extension of Newberry Street, correct?
Yes.
Is your intent to keep the existing garage on the house?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to open up the meeting to any questions from the zoning board members present.
I guess, Jeff, for me, big footprint, I think I heard Mr. and Mrs. Cross say personal use only. I think the other piece of that is 1 story, nothing up above, not habitable in terms of living space. There's no plans for anything like that.
No, the upstairs there's gonna be an upstairs, but it's for storage. There's not gonna be no thing of living, because if I was gonna do living area, I could have done it as a standalone. You know,
Okay.
but I mean, all it is,
Definitely not a living area.
I mean, I got a ton of tools and stuff I gotta store.
Okay, thank you.
He also worked for the Carpenters Union, so he's got carpenter tools too.
Did you mention the upstairs? Is that storage only? Is that a full second story, or is that just like attic space, storage space?
Well, it's gonna be done with attic trusses across the whole top.
Can you just explain, does that provide a full ceiling height, or is that just angled space?
It's angled, there's a flat part that goes up to 8 foot. And then it goes down to, I think, like 4 foot on the angles.
Okay.
But stairway to get upstairs, not a hole in the ceiling.
Well, there's actually that, what's called, it's probably not gonna be a staircase. It's gonna be more like, you know, a hole where I'll probably end up, may sound silly, but hook up a platform with a winch on it to pull stuff up. So that staircase isn't taking up space.
Understood.
This is Matt. Could you comment to what is to the left of the proposed garage, that plot there, and to the right, is it open space? Is that I'm looking at here?
Yeah, that's open land.
Okay.
And it
And
looks
that's
from the
land you
contours
own,
like
or-
it's I'm sorry, from the contours, it looks like it slopes off pretty well.
Yeah, once you get back down a little bit.
In the garage, it looks like there's a garage, Jeff, off of Newberry. Is that, whose garage is that? Is that a garage?
Yes, that's the
I'm not
Yeah.
neighboring
sure of his-
property.
I'm not sure of his
Okay.
name.
Okay.
That's
Have you guys
currently
invested-
where the existing street ends, is in front of that existing garage.
Got it. Thanks.
So you had commented earlier about not wanting to have it be a standalone property. Wouldn't that be a solution? To
They
not
won't.
have it be a standalone property and not have a secondary entry to the front lot?
Well, I would love to do that, but they say I can't have a standalone garage.
If this, Tom, this went through project review team, and it was determined that a garage couldn't be a standalone use on that parcel. So that's where it was suggested to combine the two lots. But the fallback of the approach of combining the two lots is the garage would then need access out the back, which it would have anyway if it was a residence, would have had access on Newberry Street. But now as a combined overall parcel, it winds up with two driveways, which is what the variance request is for tonight. So just as a reminder for everybody here in attendance tonight, the appeal is regarding whether or not to allow two driveways to this overall parcel now that the two lots are combined. We have no zoning action on the garage itself. It's just whether or not we feel that this parcel, combined parcel, should have access on two different frontages. So the applicant tonight's kind of going over the background of why they feel it's necessary.
So Jeff, to be clear, the applicant could put the garage up because it fits the zoning standards, no driveway, and there'd be no need for a variance.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's good clarification.
And you can see on the proposed plat, we don't deal with it a lot, I know, but you can see that the garage placement meets all the setback requirements for that parcel. Any other questions from members of the board? All right, hearing none, I will open up the public hearing to any questions from members of the public. Adam, you want to go down through?
Yeah, so Angel Schweihart, you're first on the list here.
So my land actually goes right up against this one. So as we're looking at this image, it's under my maiden name, so it's Walsh. If you see, it's that plot. I think it's -4. I also own another piece on Newberry. The arrangement of the street is very awkward. The two houses were owned by sisters previously. I've owned the house for 23 years. So my biggest concern is Newberry is now currently a dead end street where we actually park at the end of that street. And this driveway, which would be on town property from the view that I'm looking at, the driveway would be on town property and directly in front of my current garage. So that's my concern, is the entrance of where the driveway is. I have no concern about the garage and any of that, but it's the placement of the driveway. And then obviously additional traffic on a road that was that is currently in dead end street.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Well, the garage, I mean, it's, I'm lucky if I'm gonna be in and out of the garage with a car, 20 times a year.
it's not going to be actively used. He's just going to be, working in the garage, doing personal projects. And the driveway really is just really the driveways on our property. That's just reflecting what,
To blacktop to blacktop.
yeah.
So this way it'll be blacktop the whole way.
So that's currently not blacktop. The blacktop only goes until just past my garage. There's no blacktop.
It-
back.
It
Yeah,
ends
that
at,
little angle piece and then straight across is where the
Right.
blacktop ends.
So again,
So-
I'm sorry, I should present to the board, that would directly be on town property that isn't currently blacktopped. There isn't actually an entrance to their property. There's a strip of town land in between there. So again, if the driveway is only going to be used 20 times a year, I'm not sure that driveway is needed. To the board's point
Right.
that this garage could be presented and built without that additional driveway.
This was talked about with town DPW staff, and essentially the town right away is in front of your garage. Is the Newberry Street is actually town property, so they would need to pave an extension essentially of the town road to get access to their frontage. And so that's the paving going on. That's an extension of Newberry Street, and then their driveway will come out to meet that. So it's it's a small, I don't even know what's being shown here, 20, 30-foot extension of Newberry Street to meet their frontage, and then their driveway meets that.
Yeah, and currently, so our driveway is right up against Newberry Street, probably not where it should be nowadays, but that's where we park. So that's, the end of the street there, and it's where we've parked for 23 years. So I guess that's the biggest concern is we'll be parking on the street rather than at the end of a dead end street.
Jeff, there's a good picture of it in the planning board report as well. I don't know if you've got it handy.
Okay, yeah, I
If you
can
need
grab that quick. Mr. and Mrs. Craw, this is I guess the best way to put it, a hobby garage per se.
Yeah.
Your personal vehicles are still going to use the garage off of Acorn Avenue, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, this is just gonna be, for me to, put a vehicle together and, keep me busy.
Jeff, while you're putting that up, back to Matt's question, I believe that it would not be, what's not allowed as a principal use is a garage. So even if driveway or not, I don't believe that the use of that parcel as a garage per se, as on a separate parcel, would be permitted under the zoning. That's of course a Kevin question, a building inspector question, but I wanted to offer that. Because I think that's a big part of why we're here.
Yes, agreed. That's why the two parcels were combined, so that they're putting a garage as an accessory building to the house, to the overall parcel. However, there's no access because of the retaining wall on the west and the property line on the east, so they need to exit out on the Newberry Street.
and we're
Adam, do you
certain,
remember if this was a non-conforming building lot, pre-approved or pre-existing non-conforming?
I don't know.
and we're certainly not claiming ownership to the road. It's a public road, so I don't want our neighbors to think that.
Angel, do you know, does the town plow Newberry Street in the winter?
Occasionally.
Okay. Anybody else tonight, Adam, for this one?
Yeah, David Turpening is up next. If it doesn't seem like David has anything, so maybe move on.
Okay.
Next person is Uni Wazaleski.
Hi, my name's actually Matt. Ogna is my wife.
Una, sorry.
No, that's quite all right. So the town is proposing to add on a section of road to the end of Newberry Street, correct?
Actually, the applicant is going to extend the asphalt to meet their driveway.
But that would still be considered the town property, correct?
Correct.
So I guess with that being said, I don't see why there would be an issue with that applicant having a driveway that's meeting the publicly owned street. It's not interfering with anybody else's driveway. I understand Angel had said that she had parked on the road for various amounts of years, or however long she said. But with that being said, it was still considered a public road. According to the drawing anyway, it says that that is considered Newberry Street. And if someone needs access to their property in the back there and they aren't allowed it, why wouldn't, I mean, shouldn't they be allowed to get some kind of like a right of way or something? I mean, you have to forgive my lack of education and zoning and all that, but I guess I just don't see an issue with having a paved entrance to a building that's considered to be occupying a separate lot from the one that they reside in. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
I did want to mention one thing. We did submit the letter from the attorney regarding the roadway and how it is deemed a public road because it's a lot on a filed map. I'm not sure if you have that from Penny Epple about the road. So.
I don't recall that letter being in the file.
Ms. Cry, I believe you submitted that to the planning board. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, like you say, I think this is to do with the double access, right?
Yep. Okay. Any additional comments from members of the public tonight?
No, that's it, Jeff. Those were the few folks. Do you want to see if David Turpinning wants to speak again?
Yeah, you could check.
I don't know if he was having trouble. So we do have a question from, I forgot your name already, Ugna. If you could
Matt.
unmute, Matt.
Yep, that's Matt.
I just had a question. Is that still considered as a double frontage if it's considered a completely separate lot from the other?
Well, they combined the two into one lot, so that's where it became a double frontage. Yeah.
Okay, I missed that part. All right, thank you.
Welcome. All right. With that, Mr. and Mrs. Craw, anything else you wish to add?
No, I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm trying to do it to where, everything looks nice and, it's usable for people. For me, not for people, but for me. I'm not trying to block anybody from doing anything that they normally do. I mean, it's, I mean, I walk from my house to there, I'd walk from my house to the garage. It's not even like I pull my truck around there to do work in there.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the zoning board? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make it, Jeff.
Kateri saying no too. Scott, I think Scott put his hand up and said yes. So I'll give it to Scott. Matt, you have second?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion by Scott Strabel to close the public hearing, seconded by Matt Ostaguy. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 5-0. That will conclude any interaction with members of the public or the applicant on this appeal tonight. You're welcome to stick around and listen/watch deliberations in seeker on this. or you're more than welcome to sign off and check in with the planning office tomorrow to see the outcome. So with that, I will make a motion regarding seeker. Motion by Chairman Pangburn for Zoning Board of Appeals to declare seeker lead agency in regards to Appeal 2021-04 CRAW of 45 Acorn Avenue, application for an area variance. The Zoning Board of Appeals has determined that this is an unlisted action, is progressing an uncoordinated review under SECRA, and declares itself the lead agency. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Jeff.
Seconded by Bob Seward III. Any discussion? Voice vote as follows. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 5-0.
Hey, Jeff, I can
Yes.
only see, I can just see the picture that you have up on the screen, so it's
Oh.
just kind of, thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, it makes it hard for you to see who's talking. Okay, we also have the short environmental assessment form, part 2 impact assessment. You guys know when we're lead agency, we fill this part out. I believe as this is just an action to approve a second driveway access to one combined parcel, and the 30 by 40 garage that would be a subsequent action fits within all the setbacks, that no or small impact will occur. I'll read down through them quick. Please flag anything you think you want to have further discussion on. But I believe this action will not create a material conflict with an adopted land use or zoning regulation. It will not result in a change in the use or intensity of land. It will not impair the character or quality of the existing community. It will not have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area. It will not result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway, or will have a small impact on those matters. It will not cause a material increase in the use of energy, and it does not fail to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities. The proposed action will have a small or no effect on public-private water supplies or public-private water treatment utilities. The proposed action will have no or small impact on the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources. It will not result in an adverse change to natural resources, example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, etc. It will not result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems. And the proposed action will not create a hazard to environmental resources or human health. Therefore, I'll make a motion in regards to Appeal 2021-04 CRAW 45 Acorn Avenue. The Town of East Greenbush Zoning Board of Appeals hereby determines, based on the information and analysis submitted for Part 1 of the short environmental assessment form and other materials submitted by the project sponsor or otherwise available to the reviewers, and after careful review of Part 2 impact assessment, that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Scott Stravell. Any discussion? Hearing none, a voice vote as follows. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 5-0. So with that, we can enter into workshop on this application. Anybody wish to start or looking for additional clarification?
I have a question, Jeff, that you or Adam can probably answer. So once the property owner paves that small extension, and it is town property that he's improving, who's responsible for maintaining the improved property?
Adam, can you weigh in on that? Because I know you had a lot of discussions with DPW on that.
Yeah, so there were two options for the sponsor here. One was to construct an extension of Newberry Street, up to town spec. And, there's a specific, there's standards for that, right? And so then there's also the process of dedication and offering, those lands to the town. That would be a town board acceptance of that new infrastructure. And then that would become owned and, operated and maintained by DPW. The second option, because it's a paper street, our understanding of this is that the land in the paper area reverts to half of the owners on either side. So in effect, the sponsor owns to the middle of that, so-called paper street. And I think that's the letter that the sponsor was referring to. It was a letter from a title company kind of setting forth the kind of framework, not necessarily rendering a specific opinion in this case, but in general, this is where this would fit. So that's the option that the sponsor took here in lieu of improving that existing town road, which the town owns up until where it maintains. That's the thing. There's public traffic through there. And that's the other reason why the driveway is it's half of that space.
So how much further beyond that improvement does that paper road go? Kind of hard to tell.
It extends quite a ways. I can pull up the tax mapping if you bear with me here.
But it falls down the hill, correct, Adam?
I think that's.
So, I mean, when we say quite a ways, we're talking hundreds of feet, not 1,000 feet or so. There's just a couple more parcels before you run into the back of a neighboring street.
That was really my question, is if other parcels who had access off of that theoretically beyond their property line.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is yes, if I may. There are, but yeah, it's not an infinite, like Jeff said. It goes down to Brook Street. So yeah.
And yeah, the contours drop down. So this comes down the hill. These townhomes were built up against the base of the hill. So really not a lot of potential to continue that public street much further than what it is.
So to go back to my original question, under the option that they're electing to proceed with, regardless of whether it's paved or whether it's gravelled or whether it's grass, they have property right at the middle of that road regardless. As long as it didn't impede the right of way through there, they have property rights to improve it, whichever they want, that wouldn't impede access.
I am not, and that might be that. My understanding here is that, say the sponsor's neighbor to the west wanted to do the same thing, they would need to secure access rights from the sponsor, because those lands, it's not a public way. There's no public rights to that paper street because it's not maintained, and it was never dedicated, as far as we know, to the town. So each owner owns their frontage that's shown on the plat plus half of that paper street.
So to Ms. Weigert's, her previous question, in essence, she's been parking on private property that is a paper street previously anyway.
No, she's been parking on the paved town Newberry Street because it's been dedicated to the town and it's been maintained by the town all these years. But that ends right at the garage.
Right, but that doesn't change going forward. So if that's the case, then her previous use doesn't get impacted by this. It's only if she parks beyond that end of the pavement, which is the only thing that's being impacted here, just to her point. her question on that.
I
I
think
think
the
if you pull
dilemma,
that pic,
yeah, the dilemma they will have with that, actually, I have it on, hang on a second. You can see the plot plan.
yes.
Okay. The dilemma she will have is this, she has had unfettered access to use Newberry Street, the town roadway, as she pleases because she's at the dead end section of the roadway. It'll no longer dead end. There'll be a private driveway off of the end of the dead end. So she could probably still parallel park on it, but she can't block access to the driveway because the town road will now provide access to the neighboring parcel.
Right, I've
And-
driven by, she used both sides of that road and pulled in.
Okay. So it might have to be
Straight in.
parallel parked on one side, not to block the town right away. And
Yeah, but
just want to make
my
a
point
note,
is-
the parcel, Tom, immediately to the west is Leland Frisbee, who did provide a comment letter in your packet. It's the handwritten one that was in favor of the applicant.
Yeah, I saw that. So the only thing I'm trying to do is make sure I fully understand, what seemed like the primary, I don't even want to call it an objection, but at least a question on it, is use of the road for parking historically and how that might be impacted or access historically. And if those parties were parking up beyond the paved road anyways prior to this, just on the grass area or whatever had been cleared, in essence, nothing changes except they can't access that 25 to 30 foot wide curb cut, in essence, for lack of a better term, of the driveway access.
And I think you've gone too far. They're not parking beyond the end of Newberry Street. They're parking on Newberry Street. So I think whatever happens beyond the extension of Newberry Street's immaterial because it's not being used. But this is the site of Newberry Street, at least from Google Street View, showing there's a driveway on the left of the town road, a driveway on the right, and the house that was in question along with the garage. Now, what's interesting is the plot plan, and I don't know how accurate it officially is. I gotta do this a different way so I don't have to keep jumping you guys in and out, but sorry. Is actually shows part of the garage in the town right away itself. But that's probably been there so long and who knows if the right of way line is actually that accurate. So,
The garage doors basically sit on the edge of the road.
right.
You can see it in that one picture
In
from
the road,
Viola's report.
Okay, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I was just trying to fully understand it.
Yeah, no problem.
That's good questions.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, I'll follow on, right? The Craws, when you look at their house from Acorn, very well kept, very neat and tidy. It looked really, really nice. You know, you just kind of get a flavor for who they are when you look at the place. When I think about, you know, driving out in the back and on Newberry Street, it's a very unique sort of setup from my point of view. You know, just in terms of the way it's situated here. I liked what you called it in terms of a hobby garage, and you know, he said very limited activity in terms of traffic in and out of there. I don't think it's gonna. I was encouraged to hear him say he was going to finish the garage or the hobby garage in the same form, fit, and function aesthetics as the house, because then it would certainly look like it fits as part of the neighborhood. I had one other point. I'm trying to think what it was. Oh, the other thing that I would just, when we get to it for the record, we just want to make sure we note that it's only going to be used for his own personal use, right? And it's not going to be inhabitable. It is going to be, I'm going to walk out of the back of my house. I'm going to walk out there and do my hobbies, and I'm going to go back home to sleep.
It's not used as an apartment or other residential use.
Correct.
Yeah.
Didn't even sound like he was putting a staircase in. He was going to put a hole in between the rafters
Yeah.
and use a winch to pull stuff up.
Yeah, that'll be a big storage area. So I would think eventually. And the other piece of this too, for us, is to keep in mind that he won't be the forever owner of this. Eventually, some other owner could take it over. So if we do have concerns, we can condition the approval if one is made tonight, with any restrictions that we want to be careful about.
Hey, Jeff,
Well,
just
frankly,
so I'm clear though, couldn't he knock that garage down, put a house up and put a driveway in without any variances at all?
Prior to joining the two lots together, he could, yeah.
I think that's a pretty important point for us to consider, is that he's putting a lesser quite in terms of just use and utilization of that property. He's not going to be, he could have easily kept that property as it is, not merged and put a home up. And there could have been people in and out of there, and we wouldn't even be here tonight talking about it, correct? Because that would be all fit under the use and access to the property.
Potentially, I don't know the overall size of that and if it would have needed variances to put a home on it, but it was a standalone lot, which with frontage on that paper street. So theoretically, it was envisioned to be a buildable lot at one point.
Yeah, I know you can't answer it exactly. But.
Yeah, and I think to your point on that, Matt, frankly, he probably could have met minimum restrictions to make it a residence and still have it be a garage by keeping it two separate properties. And that would have opened it up to significant future changes and developments. This way, like you said, this limits the future ability for him to change the use of the property. This really kind of boxes it in that can be used for nothing more than a residential garage with access from the front property. So he's really limited the impacts on the neighbors compared to what it could have been if he chose a different path.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Tom. Yep. You just stated it better, Tom. How's that?
I'm not sure I stated it better. I had to put it in words that I could understand, which isn't always the way everybody else understands it.
Any other comments or discussion on this one? The one other condition I think they did make a good point that, they have the retaining wall off the west side of the property with grading issues over there, and they are tight up against their eastern property line. So they can't provide access off of Acorn Ave to get back to it. So it would only be one driveway to the property. But I would like us to see, because we have evaluated some other lots in the past that have had dual frontages, and I don't remember how many years ago it was. I remember Bob was there back in the day, but we did deny them having two, but I believe it was because they were looking to have a separate tenant use the other driveway off the back, or it would have provided a through mechanism that people could actually drive through between the two streets. So we don't have that issue here, but I would like to see, maybe if we move forward, a condition that, there's not a straight through access through here, because again, that will limit the amount of traffic on Newberry Street.
Jeff, I do remember one case in which I believe the owner was looking to take a single family home and turn it into a multi-family home, which that was even another variance. So it was pretty entangled with a bunch of different things.
Okay.
And I think there was also a second one where it would turn into a not throughway, I guess that's an access that would connect two streets essentially. And that wasn't very favorable for what the plans were either.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Just if I may, it appears that they would need a variance. It's R2 zone, 7,500 square feet minimum, and according to the pictometry data, it's 7,400 and change. So they would need a variance.
Just under the minimum size. Yeah. Good clarification. Thanks, Adam. All right. But they have that. Yeah. Yeah. If you would grab that landlocked piece from Frisbee to the west, you could put together enough area to put a home back there, and the same issue. So, okay. Any other discussion? Anybody looking to make a motion? All right. Hearing none. I can make a motion in the matter by Ricky and Mary Ann Craw for an area variance, resolution and final decision of Board of Appeals, appeal number 2021-04. Whereas an application has been filed by Ricky and Marianne Craw of 45 Acorn Avenue, Rensselaer, New York, 12144. The applicant proposes to construct a 30-foot by 40-foot garage with access on 2 frontages. The Town of East Greenbush Planning Board hereby finds that the plat as proposed would violate section 2.5.d.03.b of the town's comprehensive zoning law, and hereby refers this project to the Zoning Board of Appeals in accordance with Town Law Section 277, subsection 6. And whereas the applicant has filed an application requesting an area variance at the property located at 45 Acorn Avenue, East Greenbush, New York, tax map number 154.68-9-1. And whereas the Board of Appeals has duly published a notice of public hearing regarding this appeal in the record on April 15th, 2021. And whereas notice of the public hearing was provided by certified mail to the owners of all property within 200 feet of the land involved in the application, to the Town Planning Board, and to the Rensselaer County Bureau of Economic Development and Planning. And whereas a public hearing was held by the Board of Appeals on Tuesday, April 27, 2021 to consider this appeal. And whereas the Planning Board of the Town of East Greenbush at its April 13, 2021 meeting provided a report of the requested area variance with a positive recommendation. And whereas at this hearing, the applicant, as well as any and all persons interested in this appeal, were heard, their statements recorded, and various written material, including exhibits, if any, were entered into the record. And whereas all statements, written material, and exhibits submitted in connection with said appeal have been carefully considered. And whereas this appeal has met all the requirements of the seeker and the teacher, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Appeals makes the following findings of fact. 1, there will not be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, as the second driveway will provide access only to a recreational garage use. 2, there is no other method available to the applicant, as the existing house and narrow lot blocks access from Acorn Avenue, and the proposed garage would front on the paper Newberry Street. 3, the requested variance is substantial. However, the garage blends with 2 other garages currently fronting on Newberry Street themselves. 4, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect on the neighborhood, as this is a secondary garage on the end of a small dead-end street. 5, the alleged difficulty is self-created. However, thou shalt not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. Resolved that the application for an area variance to allow for double frontage be granted with 3 conditions. 1, that the garage not be used as a residential or apartment space. 2, that the garage not be used for commercial purposes. And 3, no connection be made between Acorn Avenue and Newberry Street through the parcel. This resolution was moved by Jeff Pangburn and seconded by
Scott Stravell.
Scott Stravell, thank you. At a meeting duly held on April 27, 2021. Any discussion on the motion or conditions? Hearing none, the vote was taken as follows. Tom Hickey.
Yes.
Thank you. Matt Ostagai.
Yes.
Jeff Pangburn, yes. Bob Seward III.
Yes.
Scott Stravell.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, guys, and thank you for members of the public for participating tonight. With that, that does conclude our appeals for the night. Our next meeting, as we previously mentioned, on May 11th has been canceled due to lack of a quorum. We do have 2 standing appeals on May 26th, 25th. May 25th, sorry. As well as a continuation of 2021-03. So maybe 4 area variances for a sign. Allison, you can get those applications out. Actually, we got some time, but you can send those packets out to the members.
Yeah, I usually do it like after the meeting, like I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, no problem. And then Kretschmar on 24 Reisdorf Lane looks like an area variance for a shed on the rear setback. So
That may not happen. So just FYI,
oh, okay,
still waiting to hear back from them. So I don't have an application yet. So
okay. So that might get us back to 2. It
Maybe,
looks
yep.
like the solar one might take a little while next time. Approval of minutes, April 13, 2021. I believe we were all here.
except for Tom.
Oh, not Tom. That's right. That's the one Tom missed. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that
Yep,
motion.
I'll make it.
All right. Motion by Bob Seward, second by Scott.
Sure.
Bell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, motion, Tom Hickey abstains, motion carries 4-0 to 1. All right, with that, I think we're set for tonight, so thank you all for pitching in, and yeah, reminder, brush up on the seeker. That will be, I think there were a couple key points brought up on the solar application. I don't want to get into discussing the application, but seeker will be more involved than has historically been our case in these appeals. So we'll just have to brush up.
Jeff, when do we expect determination whether we're going to be in person or not?
As far as I'm concerned, we are in person on May 25th. So if we need to cancel it, we'll cancel it, but I don't see that happening. The town board's going public next month. Planning board is going to the Red Barn, Adam, I think just because they have a conflict in town hall, correct?
Yeah, we haven't made a determination yet, but I think it will be at the Red, if we are in person, which it seems likely, it'll be at the Red Barn.
Okay, but that's because I believe they have court or somebody else has the courtroom occupied, so they didn't want to run both public meetings. What's that, Allison?
Pre-board, I believe.
Pre-board, okay. So we don't run into that issue on Tuesday night. So we'll be in the courtroom in town hall on the 25th. Awesome. Look forward to getting back to somewhat normal. And we'll go from there. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Have a great night, guys. We'll see you.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Everybody.
Good.
Bye, Terry. Bye,
Bye now.
Allison.